Mark Friedman has a purpose. As managing partner and co-founder of Evolved Profits, he and his team have over 40 years of experience in helping businesses free up cash so that it can be reinvested into helping employees, growing the business, and creating positive social impact. He is a serial entrepreneur, CEO, and the best-selling author of Expense to Profit: Eliminate the Costs That Sabotage Your Growth. Mark loves helping companies create more profits while being an agent for change. This is his purpose, and in an effort to help more companies and more people, Mark, along with co-host Yannick Silver, author of Evolved Enterprise, bring you Profits with Purpose, a podcast that aims to do just that. On the show, Mark and Yannick talk to successful corporate decision makers, exploring valuable lessons learned, experiences in growing a company, ways to reduce expenses, and all the ways a company can have a positive social impact. Join us each week and get in on the discussion so we can all have more profits with purpose. And now, here's your host, Mark Friedman.
Welcome to Profits with Purpose. Today's guest is Jeff Maines. Jeff is the CEO of Champion Leadership Group. He's an expert at turning ideas into enterprises. He's built 5 companies totaling over $200 million in combined revenue, and 4 have been acquired by strategic buyers. He's the founder and CEO of a healthcare SaaS Intelligent Contacts, headquartered in Plano, Texas. He's fanatical about helping entrepreneurs build stellar companies. Jeff is the founder and CEO of SaaS Growth Accelerator, Champion Leadership Group, which I already mentioned, where he mentors business leaders to navigate complex challenges and future-proof their business models to weather the inevitable storms of life and the markets. He's an author of Small Fish, Big Pond, building a world-class business that swims circles around competitors. He's also started the podcast SaaS Fuel, and he currently works with a number of SaaS founders and CEOs, hearing original stories and perspectives that are fun and inspiring. Jeff, welcome to Profits with Purpose.
Thanks, Mark. Glad to be here.
So let's start about talking about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Well, I've always been very entrepreneurial. And so there was just always a side hustle, always a new idea. And so, pursuing those has really been a lot of fun over the years. Sometimes it was really setting out to solve a problem, most of the time a problem that I had, that I figured other people needed to solve as well. Went out looking for a solution, didn't find it, so I created it. And so it's been a really fun journey. And now being able to not only be on that journey, but help other people along the journey as well is so much fun.
Cool. So let's talk about how you grew your business, your current business. We can talk about the other ones as well, and some of the solutions that you found, and how fun it was exiting from those, and then building. Oh wait, but this is another problem.
Yes.
And how to strategically, monetize those things. Because, everybody who's an entrepreneur has an idea. They believe that their solution is going to solve a problem, hopefully, because if it doesn't, they probably should not be doing what they're doing.
Right.
But then again, although I'll probably never retire myself, but at some point, you have to have an exit for your business. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Sure. I think that's a really interesting point. Is it something that you want to do forever, or is there some end in sight? And I think that there always is, some sort of an end, whether that's a transition to employees, to somebody else leading it, some people will stay there forever. I don't ever see myself retiring either. And that doesn't sound like any fun. I love what I do.
Golf all day long? No.
Right. Who wants to do that?
Yeah.
But I think really understanding, where do you want to be personally? What are you going to do next? So I think that's really, it's not necessarily, what is the exit to the business, but what's next? And it's really important, because if you just exit and you don't really have the next thing, or have any vision beyond that, life just kind of stops there. Many people, their identity is tied up in their business. And when they exit, that's a really, really hard transition to personally do, unless you have something else that is really, driving meaning. I mean, it's profits with purpose, right?
Right.
And that's really what we're looking for, is what is the bigger purpose behind the business?
Cool. So Let's talk about what kind of challenges that you've experienced when you try to expand your business.
I think in any business, there are what I call revenue ceilings. And so you get to a point and, it's just like, bumping your head on a ceiling. And it depends on where you are in revenue, but there's definitely one around $1 million. There's another one between 3 and 4 million. There's another one at 5, another one at 7, 10, 15. And so, with each one of those, it takes a strategic shift. The journey, we help a lot of SaaS founders on the journey from 1 to 10. And within that, there are at least 3 really strategic shifts that have to be made, because unless you do that, you end up stuck at a specific revenue level. So it happens a lot of times, say 3 or 4 million, somebody will get there and then they just can't break past 4. They might get, 4.5, and then they drop back down to 3 3/4. And then 4 1/4, and then 4, and then 4 3/4, almost to 5. And then they're back at 4. And it's really, really frustrating. It's like, I've tried everything, but there are just small things, kind of nuanced changes to make. And some of those are personal, because a business will rarely outgrow its leader. And so we as leaders have to continue growing in order for our businesses to grow, because we can be that bottleneck. We don't want to think that we are, but a lot of times that's the case. It can be team members, it can be markets. There are just a number of different things to look at, but it's a very predictable cycle. So I think in looking at growing, it's one of the key things is when you hit one of those, what is that I need to do? What do I need to change? Great phrase, what got me here won't get me there. And so what is that small shift that I need to make to break through that revenue ceiling and get to that next level?
Wow. It's pretty insightful. I really never looked at it from that standpoint. Well, for us, we're on the expense side of the equation. So that obviously can help prop up business, but
Absolutely.
I never looked at it. I never looked at it that there's impediments at $1 million. I never looked at that there were actually, I never really thought about it honestly, but that's kind of pretty cool to understand the different areas where if you're not making that adjustment to the business, it's not going to continue on the growth path. So that's kind
right.
of wow. So how do you balance running multiple endeavors?
I have fantastic teams. Delegation is one of those things that is really hard to do. It's easy to talk about, but it's really having teams that you trust. We have shared core values, and that's something that's really important. I'm 100% confident that, they will make the same decision that I would make, because we have those same core values in what we're doing, the same vision of where we want to go with the company.
So you talk a lot about one thing that you've absolutely learned is that you are always stronger together.
Yes.
Right? Rather than trying to do it all on your own, and the word together is a big factor in your success. Let's expound on that a little bit.
Sure. That's actually one of our core values. Is number one in Intelligent Contacts is that we're all in together. And this was way before the pandemic. That kind of ruined a little bit of that. But we're all in. We're all fully committed. But it's not each one of us that's just committed ourselves. We're all in, and it's together. It's all of us that are all committed. And so that's something that we think about often. So we want to break down those silos. So it's not somebody else's job to do something. It's all of our jobs. It's my job to go help pick up the slack for somebody else. It's my job to come alongside and help somebody move forward. So it's real easy, that just the concept of team and working together. And we all have different skills. We all have different backgrounds. And I think that's one of the most powerful things about diversity. So it's not just the way that we look. I mean, that's important as well, but it's different backgrounds. It's, different experiences. It's different industries. And when we bring all of that diversity together, we're significantly stronger than any one of us alone. We all have different skills. There are things that I'm really, really good at. There are things that I'm terrible at. There are things that, I thought I was pretty good at until I met somebody who really was. And, there's probably a lot more of those than I'd like to think. But, when I'm working in my strengths and in my genius zone, that's where I'm really, really happy, and work is effortless. But when I get outside of that, things don't work quite as well. But there are other people that are fantastic at things that I'm weak in. And so when we work together and they work in their genius zone and I work in my genius zone, that's where magic happens.
Right. It's amazing how when you surround yourself with the right talent, how much more successful you can be.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Perfect. So you're an author. I'm an
Yes.
author. I know what motivated me to write a book, but what motivated you to write a book, and how does it help your business?
Well, I've been asked to do that for a number of years and said no way too many times, and all sorts of excuses. And then, was convinced to go ahead and do it. And really, it was, how do I, I want to help entrepreneurs. That's really the goal. And so, how do I do that at scale? And so, doing a book made a lot of sense. And how do I do that to, make it where it's actionable? And that was one of the most important things to me. I didn't want to just write another business book that puts people to sleep. It's not the cure to insomnia, I hope, but it's designed, wrote it to engage both the right and left brain. So it's part story, part content, but actionable content. There are QR codes and things you can scan with, downloads and videos and things like that as well. So it's very interactive, because knowledge is great, but it doesn't really do us any good until we apply that knowledge. It's the execution. That's where, the action is where all the value is. So I wanted to make sure that anything that I did was very actionable. And so that was really how I wrote the book. So it's been great for business. It's been a really good, lead magnet. It's been really good introduction. If you're thinking about writing a book, it's very difficult, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. And so that's been really, really fun doing that. It's been a couple of years. I've got a new book that'll be out next year called The Captain's Keys. It's the 4 people every successful leader needs.
Cool. Wow. That'll be exciting.
Yes.
So yeah, I know the book thing. I did the same. My book is designed to help people looking at some of the major expense categories and how can you try to do it yourself and maybe be successful. But this is how we've done it with our clients with specific examples. So
That's really good.
Many times I threw the transcript away, and like you, I put it off. And then finally I met somebody who kind of had like a book in the box type business. And I said, well, that's an interesting concept, and kind of just dictated my story. And from there, it became a book. So there you have it. And like you, I think if we can help people be more successful and to be able to take action themselves with information we can provide them, I think that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, really helpful.
So let's talk about some of your different businesses and what prompted actually selling or exiting those businesses and then moving on to the next opportunity.
I think it's always a challenge. Is now the right time, or do I hold on for more, or do I hold on for later? I look at it in a couple of different ways, and I think my perspective has changed over the years as well. I mean, early on, it was like, hey, somebody wants to buy it, yes, I'll sell it. So my perspective, I think, is maybe matured a little bit, and thinking about, what is it that they want to do with it? What's the goal of the business? Why did I start this? What are we doing? What impact are we having with clients? What do they want to do with it? Is it going to continue on? What happens to the people? And I think that's been something that the last few times has been one of the most important things to me. So it's not just, hey, I can get out of this, because I don't build things that I want to get out of. I build them because I really enjoy what it is and solving the problem and serving clients. And thinking about, what happens to the solution? What happens to the people in particular? Are they going to be better off, with this move than if I hold on to it for another year, 2 or 5 years, or, maybe you hold on to it for 5 years and it goes away on its own. I mean, businesses have a life cycle themselves. So, I think, first thing to think about if you're looking at selling a business is, is now the right time? Second is, are these the right partners? And there's a lot of different ways to do that. People look at, private equity, that's one way, venture capital. But there are lots of other things as well. I mean, you can sell to employees through an ESOP.
Sure.
Employees can purchase the stock over time. That can have some really nice tax advantages as well. So there's lots and lots of different ways to exit, depending on what your personal goals are, what's in the market. But just the fact that you created something that somebody else wants to buy is fantastic.
Yeah, that's kind of cool in itself, right?
Yes. But the exit, I think, is the start of the journey. It's not the end. So, I mean, you think that, okay, I'm out, but that's just the next chapter. So it's that transition of what's next. How can I more fully live into my purpose?
Cool. So let's talk about Champions Leadership Group and what was the driving motivation behind creating that business and what is the goals and the aims?
Sure. Well, I started it, back in, 2003. Yeah, so it's been a long, long time, and really started doing one-on-one coaching and really wanted to be the mentor that I wish I'd had back in the early days. And so, that continued on, kind of off and on, and then became a little bit more formal and then maxed out with the number of clients I could handle on a one-on-one basis, and actually transitioned that to group back in 2018. And so able to serve quite a few more entrepreneurs, really focused on B2B SaaS and, companies that are around that. So maybe they're service companies that want to, create recurring revenue. So they don't want to continue trading time for dollars. But specifically around the B2B SaaS model and helping companies scale from where they are today, typically, around $1 million in revenue up to 10. And then we have a mastermind that is designed for companies that are 10 to 100 million in revenue.
Cool. I know you see, because on your website, you talk about impact, that there's a responsibility to give back. And that's something that's a big focus for our business, because 5% of the fees that we get paid, we ask our clients to tell us which nonprofit or civic event would they like us to direct the money to. So let's talk about, what you guys do and how does it pay dividends for the success of your business? But more importantly, how does it help those where your impact dollars and your impact events really focus?
Sure. And that's one of the things that I did with the book from the very beginning is all the net proceeds that come in from the book, that all is donated. And so doing that with the second book as well. But we support a number of nonprofits and causes that we care about. We do the same thing with our clients when they sign up. They can, I love that you do that. They can pick the charities. We do that as well. Work with a company called Gives, GIVZ, and they facilitate that. It's a very easy process to be able to give back, and then it allows them to be a partner in that. And I think that's really important, is that not only we give back, but we involve other people. So we can get them excited and they can say, hey, if I do this, then I get to take part of that and give it to a charity that I care about. So we work with a number of charities. One of my favorites is called Dare to Serve. And there's a great story around how that was all founded. But what it does is they work with high school students in mentoring. And so, kind of two things. One is mentoring, and the second is service projects. And, so they're actually serving in their community and making a difference themselves. So, you may look at, they work with a lot of Title I schools and things like that. You say, well, those are the kids that need help. And that's true sometimes, but they've got some incredible things to give and gifts to use and put to work in their communities. And that's true all the time. And that's really what Dare to Serve does, is helps them see the potential that they have and the gifts that they have, and encourages them to use them for impact. And then that just spreads out, and they go and they realize that they can. And then because they can, they do. And then they inspire others to do the same thing. So that's been great. So we support that. We do, we've done water wells, we've done cancer charities, a number of different things that we're pretty involved in on an ongoing basis, which I really like, partnering up with organizations, not just a one-time thing, but something that we're involved in on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, so cool. And, we have a group called Good World, which I guess is similar to Gives, which allows the employer to deposit money, and then the employees get to decide from 1.5 million charities that are on their site of where that money can go.
Love that.
So, yeah, so it's all part about, creating an impact and giving back and socially conscious directives, which makes business more successful, I think.
Without a doubt. I don't think that's necessarily the goal of it, but it's certainly a byproduct. And I really like that, where you're involving the employees. We do that as well, where we do the matching challenges. And I think that's so fun. It's great to say, hey, as a company, we're going to go do this. And that's fine. And employees can get excited about it. But I think it's just a different level of excitement when you say, here's the project that we can be a part of. and we'll match every dollar. We'll match everything you do. We'll double it. We'll triple it, things like that. So we're working together, and really gets just a different level of excitement and engagement with that as well.
So cool. I guess, I don't know, is there something in the media space that you're in? Every business has expenses. Is there something that's like one of your biggest expenses that holds you back from being even more successful?
I think probably the biggest expenses we have would be, labor, and, within, the SaaS company, or our AWS bill. So Amazon is making a small fortune, providing great service, but, that is one of our biggest expenses behind payroll.
Sure. Yeah. Here's an interesting statistic for you. 32% of every dollar spent on cloud services is wasted.
I believe it.
So anyhow, we can talk about that kind of stuff later. So this is one of my, like I said earlier, this is one of my favorite questions I like to ask my guests. It's, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? And if you can attribute that to that person, what do they mean in your life?
Sure. Well, I think, the best piece of advice actually came from one of my mentors, a guy named Keith Brannon, who was a youth pastor for a number of years, and just a tremendous friend for many, many years. Actually married my wife and I, which is a great thing when a mentor, can do that. But one of the things that he told me was, it's really easy to get involved and caught up in business or ministry or doing other things, even really good things, but you can't do that to the neglect of your family and relationships. And so the advice was, wherever you are, be there. So when you're at work, be fully focused at work. Don't be bringing in other things from the outside or worrying about other things. Really be focused there. And when you're at home, that time is protected. Make sure that you're there. Focus on your family. Spend time with the kids. Really focus in. So wherever you are, be there. And I think that's really served me well over the years, and just having that distinction of, this is my time. This is family time. This is what we're really focusing on right now. It's not, sitting at the kids' game with the cell phone in my hand, checking emails. It's really being present and being focused with a family when I'm at work. It's not doing a bunch of personal stuff, but it's really being laser focused, getting things done so that I can have that time. So I think that's been one of the greatest pieces of advice that I've had, is just having that distinction, and where you are, be there.
I love that, for real. I mean, that is especially today, because how many times are you at some sort of an event where you see people with their mobile phone in their hand doing whatever, either, checking emails or Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is that they're online doing. So yeah, be there. I love that. I love that. That's so important. Is there anything that I haven't mentioned that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I think this has been a lot of fun. You did mention, impact, and I'm really passionate about that the business is not, just for ourselves or just to make profit, but there is bigger impact. And so I would just say, one thing that I wish that I'd learned earlier was, don't let your identity be completely connected to your business. So you're more than your business. You're more than a deal. You're more than a client. You're more than success. You're more than an exit. There's so much more than that to business. So we can have an impact to the world. And those exits, those are definitely mountaintop experiences. And I want other people to have those. And we work, a lot with our clients to help them increase their valuation and get there. And those are tremendous experiences. But I think even more is the journey that we're on and the people that we're on it with. And, those are the things that have the greatest impact in life. It's not those mountaintop experiences, those peaks that really impact our lives. Those are really cool. But the things that really shape and mold us and make life worth living are the people on the journey with us. And so I think that's one of the most important things is really just to take time and enjoy the journey, enjoy the people on that, and value them and spend time with them, because those are the things that really do matter in life.
Wow. That kind of says it all right there. So if people want to get in contact with you, it will obviously add it to the show notes, but is there something, you want to share now, and so people can get in touch with you directly?
Sure. You can find me at championleadership.com or on all social media at Jeff K. Mains on all platforms.
Cool. Wonderful. Jeff, thanks for being a valued guest. on
Thank you,
Profits
Mark.
with Purpose. And we look forward to talking again.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Profits with Purpose. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you are interested in reducing the expenses of your business, creating positive social impact, or contributing to the show, reach out to Mark or Yannick with Evolved Profits by emailing podcast@evolvedprofits.com or visiting the website www.evolvedprofits.com.